everyone, and welcome to Sustainability
Tea
Time.
Time.
Today we're gonna be talking to Dr. Christopher Paparo.
No doctor though.
Not doctor
Not
today.
doctor.
He was our professor for one of the classes we took.
It was a class that was focused on sustainability and photography. I personally perceived it as like a way for students to, I think, become more in touch with either expressing their feelings regarding like nature through writing and photography, or just or sharing our perspective. We had a exhibit at the end of the semester, and it was called Through Our Lens, or was it Through Our Lens or Through Our Eyes? Through Our Eyes. Yeah, it was a really nice class. It helped a lot of us become more proficient with taking pictures.
I hope so.
Yes, and writing, and I think more importantly, understanding what our perspective is or what our point of view is. And I think that that's important regardless of whatever path you choose to venture down in your future. I feel like understanding what you want to say is important.
The class was co-taught by David Taylor and Christopher Paparo, and Christopher Paparo was teaching the photography portion of it. Have you been taking any cool pictures recently? I know the weather is starting to get a little warmer.
I am always taking pictures, no matter what the weather is. I'm taking pictures. Just yesterday, we were out doing a seal cruise. So we take the public out on the bay on one of our research vessels to look for seals, and we had about 80 seals yesterday.
How far from here?
Maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, real close, just outside the pond here where we are.
How are you able to tell animals like apart?
So for some, it's hard. Like you mean like tell male from female?
Yes.
Yeah, so with our ospreys, the male has a white chest, and the female has what looks like a necklace of brown feathers across her chest. Osprey typically return to the same nest site every year.
I see.
And I named them Raoul and Mary after Raoul Welker and his wife Mary. Raoul Welker founded the marine research lab here at Southampton back in the 60s. And I was a student here, not in the 60s, but much later. And for me, it was just a way to kind of preserve history.
I see.
You know, so people don't forget who was important around here. On a camping or hiking trip, would be Dr. Taylor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So for my reasoning behind that is, you guys know I'm the fish guy. I know a fair amount about the woods and the animals that live in the woods, but I know very little about plants and trees. Dr. Taylor knows a lot about trees and plants. So if you're going to be on a hiking trip in the woods, I'd rather someone who knows what poison ivy is and poison oak and things that might kill you, and things that might be good to eat. He's the guy. He's the person I'm bringing. Yeah, for that reason. And he's also entertaining too, because he also plays guitar and sings. So what's better than being around a campfire and somebody with a guitar just playing some tunes?
You think he'd bring his guitar on the hike?
I'd make it. Good point, because every winter when it snows, I ask myself, why would I want to be a marine biologist in New York when I could be somewhere tropical and warm? But I mean, I'm born and raised here, went to school here, as you said, and I just find it fascinating. You know, one thing that's nice about Long Island is the seasons change, you know, and as the seasons change, the wildlife changes. I go someplace like Hawaii, wildlife changes a little bit, but it's fairly consistent. So I kind of like that change. It keeps things from getting boring. So marine science, I got the bug when I was probably about 6 or 7. My dad took me fishing, and that was the first thing, my experience was fishing. And then I wanted to learn more about fish so I can catch bigger fish. Bigger fish and bigger fish. And then as I learned more about the fish, I was like, oh, these are really fascinating and really interesting. And then that kind of snowballed into me wanting to be a marine biologist. First, I worked at the public aquarium, so I worked at the Long Island Aquarium for almost 17 years. And then when I heard about this job opening, for me it was exciting because as a college student here, I had a lot of memories here, especially here at the Marine Station. I met my wife at the school. You know, so to hear the next like I could potentially be in the next chapter of this
Yeah,
campus was,
yeah.
for me, is exciting. Probably my favorite part of the job is working with the students, you know, mentoring students, helping students with their research, helping them honestly with anything, you know. So to me, that's one of what I like most about working at Stony Brook is working with students.
Within this time, have there been any memorable highlights? Are there like projects that you've worked on or like discoveries that you've found?
So one thing that's interesting about my job is I like research, but I never want to be a researcher.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in my position, I get to do the fun stuff, which means I get to be in the field.
Yeah.
I get to help the students set up their experiments. But I don't have to write the papers. I don't have to do the grant writing, all that kind of stuff. So for me, that's what's most exciting. And every year is a little different. You know, I never know what new students, as they graduate, new students come in and there's new research, new ideas. So it keeps it interesting for me.
Have you ever played Animal Crossing? It's a video game.
Oh my
No,
god,
I'm
wait,
not.
no,
So
wait.
it's this game, and I feel like you really like it because I don't know anything about fish. I'm allergic to fish, so I don't know anything about fish. But on Animal Crossing, it's basically like a game where you have your own world and like you collect fish and bugs and like build your own house and stuff like that.
Kind of sounds like my childhood.
No,
Like in real time, like collecting bugs and
like,
fish and stuff.
Basically like on like this island, and I think being by like the water right now, like that reminds me of like being by the water in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, but not only that, but they have like a whole like, museum and like almanac, and that's probably like where I've gotten the most like bug, like insect and fish knowledge. They would like have the most rare fish on Animal Crossing. Or like something that I've never heard of like outside of the grocery store. Like
Yeah.
I need to find the picture later because I've collected some pretty rare, like the really big ones. I forgot what it's called.
You can like unlock a museum and like fish species and like bugs that you collect or like you like put into like your like personal index.
Your
You can,
collection?
like, yeah, you can like put on display in the museum.
See, that's the thing. I kind of have that in my real life. Like if you look on the shelf,
Yeah,
I've got dried
yeah,
out fish.
yeah,
I've got, you know,
yes,
bones of fish.
yes.
And yeah, so it's kind of like my real life.
Yeah.
So my always advice is, let's say you're dabbling and wanting to get deeper into marine science. Well, maybe get an internship at the Long Island Aquarium. You know, because at the aquarium, there's an education department. There's a fish department, there's a mammal department, there's a rescue department. So all of a sudden you're getting all these little things. They do research in aquaculture. So all of a sudden you're getting this like little experience into many different worlds of marine science. And then maybe you like one, maybe you hate one. And you're like, all right, I don't like that at all. I had students back in the day when I worked at the aquarium, I was in charge of the shark exhibit. And I'd have high school students that would come in with their parents every Thursday after school to watch me feed the sharks. And they were going to be a shark feeder, you know, take care of the sharks just like I did. And they became my interns when they went to college, and they hated it. But they hated it because all they knew was the 20 minutes 3 times a week that I fed them. So an hour of my 50-hour work week was feeding sharks. The 49 hours other was everything but. So all of a sudden they realized the job wasn't for them. So by doing those internships and those experiences, you can solidify that it's what you want to do, or solidify it's not what you want to do. But, you know, and I tell a lot of students when they graduate, if you don't have like a idea just yet, personally, this is the time to go do something fun, do something crazy, something in the field. You know, don't just sit around and play, you know, games or whatever, but like go get a job. You never know who you might meet. Yeah, I mean, I think if I had an unlimited budget, I would want to increase education, public education, you know, public education combined with teaching our researchers how to be better communicators.
Yeah.
I think that is a huge thing. I think a lot of the problems that we face in the world, sustainability issues and stuff, is because people are told, let's bring up climate change, for example, you know, they're told about climate change, but it's taught to them by graphs and charts and statistics. And to the average person, that doesn't mean anything because they didn't study that for years.
Yeah.
You know, we get it, but we study it. We also understand it. What you need to be able to do is teach the public about these problems through pictures, videos, and writing. If I had that budget, I would put that towards better public education or getting the word out. if that makes sense. You know, not
Yeah.
necessarily classes, but like public lectures that are fun. You know, and like with the sustainability stuff, you know, I know we were talking about some of this, like what are things that we can do to be more sustainable? But usually the question is, why should we?
True.
Right? So what I do in my side business of educating people about nature is show people about all the really cool stuff that's here. So if somebody goes to them and says, hey, you know what, we should probably not fertilize our lawn. Like then they'd be like, all right, well, I want a green grass. I don't care. Everything's dead already. But then all of a sudden they're like, well, I mean, that's right. If like, why should I care? I want a green grass. Everything's dead. But if they're like, well, wait a minute, Fish Guy talked about all those really cool scallops and seals and sharks and whales. Ooh, they could be negatively impacted if I fertilize my lawn, and maybe it gets through them.
Is there anything else you wanted to say or like promote? I know you're wearing your Fish Guy hat,
Yes.
so we need to plug the Instagram.
Yeah, Fish Guy photos, you know, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I'm hip. I'm on TikTok. Yeah, you know, that kind of, you know, that's a great way to learn about some of the Long Island wildlife that's here in our own backyard. Because, you know, again, you probably remember this when you're in school. They talk about how you have to save the rainforest, and you have to save the Great Barrier Reef, and you have to save the African plains. And yes, all those places need saving, but so does Shinnecock Bay and the Long Island Sound. So I think if more people were excited about their own backyards, we wouldn't have to worry about the Amazon, the Great Barrier Reef, the rainforest. So I think if we focus locally, it makes a bigger picture globally. You know? So that's my closer.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, y'all. That's going to be it for this episode of Sustainability
Sustainability-Tea.
Time.